Welcome back to the Bernard Lee Poker Show. We are talking with the 2021 WSOP Player of the Year, two-time bracelet winner just this summer alone. He's overall a four-time bracelet winner, but his last bracelet was back in 2005. His first one was in 1999. That's right. For those of you who are so young, you didn't know that there was a century that was 1999. People actually played poker back then. There was actually poker before Moneymaker. It's incredible. But Josh Arieh is joining us. So Josh, as we talked about previously, 1999 to 2005, an incredible run, 2 bracelets, 3rd in the World Series main event. You then really do play a lot of poker, playing on the WPT. You are one of those players that, you know, for better or worse, during this height of poker is one of the superstars. Everyone is seeing you play in WPT events and going around and playing the WSOP. It must have been an incredible time in that time of poker, right?
Yeah, it was. Like I said before, I'm such a lucky person when it comes to timing, and the height of my career was in the midst of the poker boom, when there was a lot of celebrities playing, when online poker was flourishing. I had a 6-figure deal with an online site, and I was just like, I wasn't a household name, but I was really reaping the rewards of, you know, just being at the right place at the right time. And, you know, I just remember like a few of my memories from that big poker boom was along came the Professional Poker League. And it was like a sister league that ran with the WPT.
Right.
And we were up in Foxwoods, and I was with Eric Lindgren, and we took a limo to New York City because we had like 2 or 3 days in between. And Eric's like calling and finding the best hotel, and then like he rented like half of ESPN Sports Zone out on a Saturday, so we could have like the best viewing of the football games. And then we get a limo back to Atlanta, to Foxwoods, and so, I mean, it's just I have so many cool memories of being along the poker boom, and it's sad that I was never able to win a WPT, but I was there for a bunch. I don't know. I think I have 2 WPT final tables. I think.
Yep. I believe so. Yep.
But that was awesome. I mean, that was so much fun. You know, the Vince Van Patten and Mike Sexton days. They just such a cool team and blew poker up.
Yeah, I mean, the World Series, I'm sorry, the World Poker Tour, like you said, it was, you know, it was must-see TV, first of all. Travel Channel, Wednesday night, 9 to 11. I remember, again, for all of you youngsters, you don't understand, but a video VHS, putting it in, setting the timer. I wrote it on there, do not touch, do not erase, and I would just re-record all the shows, and then I'd watch them over and over and over again. I would tell people, I've told people a lot of times on my show that how I learned poker was I would watch it, I'd tape it, I'd hit the mute, and then I'd cover up the cards in the corner with a Post-it note. And then I'd watch the hand play out, and then I'd try to guess, oh, if I was in his shoes, I think he has this. Or I'd cover up one of the hands so I'd know what one of the hands is in play, and then I'd play it out. And I think I've always been some people, when they see what the hands are, they're like, how could you not shove all in? It's like, it's not as easy as that. You don't even have the nuts. Don't tell me how you shove all in. So for better or worse, because I cover up the cards and all that, I've always been pretty good at being able to put myself in their shoes and being like, how would you act? Like, what would you react like? Would you just call? Would you min rate? You know, that kind of thing. And
I remember watching, there was a 3 or 4 year span where ESPN was trying out different commentators for some of the coverage. And that was my biggest pet peeve, was the commentator, the player analyst that would come in and act as if like they were literally in God mode because they could see both
Of
hands.
course. Of
And
course.
it's like, oh, I would do this and this and this. And it's like, dude, you can't see both hands. It's not that easy.
Exactly.
And so that's what, and then, off subject, then along came Nick Schulman, who really
Yeah.
changed the
He
way
did.
that we get to listen to poker today, because he really does a good job of putting his thoughts into words into why he would do certain things in certain spots. And so that's it would have been really cool back in the day to hear Nick, talk about the hands. But Mike
Yeah.
Sexton did a great job too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Mike did it in a way that, because so many people were neophytes back then. I mean, they didn't know what was going on. Like, all they saw an ace and they were happy, right? Oh, yay, let's go. Let's. And then Mike would say, like, you have to be aggressive. So people saw an ace and they said, oh, good card, need to be aggressive, all in. And you're like, well, what are you doing? Like, that doesn't work, that kind of thing. So when Black Friday hit, how much did it affect you and your world? You kind of didn't travel as much, and obviously family obligations as well. So what kind of happened over that decade for you?
It was rough. I have a great Black Friday story. I was a Red Pro at Full Tilt. So they were my somewhat sponsor, and I had won a seat in a show called like Late Night Poker or something that was filmed in England. Black Friday was obviously a Friday. I had a flight to go to England on a Sunday, so I call my rep at Full Tilt, and they're like, "Yeah, everything's fine, everything's a go. Get on the plane and get to wherever." So I fly to London. I have a car picking me up, taking me on a 2-hour drive to somewhere else. And the car's there. I get there and I check into my room and I get a phone call, and it says, this is on Sunday after Black Friday. The phone call says, there's going to be a car to pick you up. You're going to get a call, but don't get in the car because the tournament's not happening. So I was like, I didn't know what to do. Obviously, as more info came out, that the sit and go tournament that I was going to play in was canceled, and I ended up like flying home the next morning. So I was in England for like 10 hours and flew 7 hours each way. It was a big disaster. But yeah, Black Friday, I was playing a lot online at the time. The pot limit Omaha was very popular. So I was playing real high stakes. I was playing I was oftenly playing 200, 400 PLO on Full Tilt. So it was a big change not getting to play online. So, I mean, I don't even remember if I started traveling more. I for the past 10 years, I just haven't traveled much. I would go to the World Series, and then maybe I would fly down to Florida and play once or twice a year. But other than that, I haven't played much.
So is it more cash games for you, or
No,
other focus, or?
No, the cash games in Atlanta are bad. It's a bad situation. It's all underground with high rake and high risk, and I've been cheated. I've been accused of being cheated. I mean, I've been accused of cheating. I've been robbed. It's eventually, like, I've gotten to an age where luckily financially, I don't have to play all the time. So I just haven't. It's too much of a headache.
Yeah. So you have branched out recently into another world, right, with PocketFives.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about that, because there were a lot of investors this summer who were pretty happy.
Yeah. Back in August, a guy that I had met through a close friend of mine gave me a call and actually lives in Atlanta, and went and ate dinner and told me about this project that PocketFives was moving branching out from just being an online forum, and they're going to build a staking platform. And thought that I would be a good fit to run it. I wasn't looking for a job, but as I thought about it more, after, what we were in COVID for a year and a half, and I was just bored. So I was like, cool, this is an opportunity for me to wake up and have something to do. So since August, I've been working on the staking platform, and it's something that I love, and it's a project that I could see myself, doing on my own dime, and me getting the opportunity for somebody else to put up all the money and finance the project. I've loved every minute of it. Like I love getting up and talking about gambling, and trying to figure out the best way to, learning the business side of poker has been rewarding, and I love it. And I still remember, after I won my second bracelet, the owner of the company, like, he didn't tell me congrats. He didn't say, wow, that's awesome. The first thing he said to me was, please don't quit. And that was really rewarding in itself, because I love my job. We have it's a staking platform where pro players post tournament packages, and our members can invest as little as $5 in certain players. We had Daniel Negreanu. Stop it. Sorry. We had Daniel posted almost every event. He also posted a full series package. We have Phil Hellmuth, we had Eric Seidel, David Williams, Matt Glantz, me, Galen Hall, Jonathan Little. I mean, we had some real good talent on our site. So it's like at any given time, you could go on to PocketFives and see a world-class player selling percentages of himself at either no markup or very little markup. Like, I think that in my first bracelet that I won, I sold 10% of it at no markup. So I had 10 people invest $15 and turned it into 2,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Eric Seidel posted 2 packages. He made the final table in both of them. Daniel posted numerous caches. So yeah, it's a project that we are constantly improving, because we want to make it just more. The more fun the customer has, the more the better off we're going to do. And it's a great tool for players to engage with their fan base,
right?
Because when it's just, I overly use the NFL analogy. An NFL game with no action is boring, but you put $10 on a game and it's exciting. And that converts over to poker really, really well, because a guy, he might check the updates here and there once a day to see how his favorite player is doing, but have that same guy invest $10 in the tournament. He's going to be clicking refresh on Poker News every freaking 30 minutes and to see where that guy is. Right. Because there's like literally poker runs are exciting. Like no matter who it is, if you know somebody making a run, it's exciting. And to be able to give that to the fans and let them, be more involved is pretty cool.
So is it go to PocketFives.com to get any information on that? And is it only going to be those big name players, or are other players as well?
So right now with this first year, it was really hard to navigate it, because we have to make sure that we don't run into a situation where a random guy doesn't pay us and we still have to pay all of our members. So I was kind of handcuffed this year and only able to post guys that I've done business with in the past or know personally. But eventually we're working really hard to get casino and cage integration. And when that happens, we'll be able to post anybody, and you'll be able to, anybody will be able to post a package and, send a group text out to all his buddies and say, hey, go on here and buy a piece of me. On be, I'm sorry, it's a huge tool to the player as well, because selling pieces is a big part of poker.
Yeah.
It allows players to play events that they've never been able to afford before. And with PocketFives, you can do it all in one place. You don't have to worry about, okay, that guy sent me PayPal, that guy sent me Venmo, this guy's going to meet me and give me cash. Just go on PocketFives, put your package up there, and all your money is going to be right there. You click one button and your money, everything's sent to you.
Right.
So I have high hopes for PocketFives, but also I'm really interested in, I want to see new and upcomers play events that they've never been able to afford before and make names for themselves. I've been fortunate enough that when I was younger, I got put into some spots that I wouldn't have been able to afford, and it got me to where I am today. So I'd like to be able to provide that platform for young and upcomers. But also, I want to see poker grow. And this is going to, if my vision is correct, I believe that we can grow tournament sizes in live poker exponentially to where, in a way that it has never grown before.
No, it sounds great. And obviously, like you said, the dream scenario for you guys is somebody puts up a package for like the main event or a bracelet, and they end up going on to win it. And then their story is, I would never have played this unless I had the opportunity.
Right. And they have, there was a couple of tournament packages, just two in particular. Jonathan Little had over 500 investors in his 100K. 500 people. That's something he could have never done,
of course,
without the tool of PocketFives. Daniel, on almost a weekly basis, there was a tournament where he had 300 different people. Now with Daniel, it's different because he has such a huge audience. Sure. But the fact that he could bring along 300 people for the ride, right, I think it's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that just makes it more, so many people are invested in a lot of these players anyway, just because, hey, I like this person. But like you said, put a little money into it that can turn into an investment. It makes it really interesting and a lot of fun.
And it also for like the really rich poker players, it gives you like a sense of accountability as well. Like there's times that, you're in a tournament and it's not going to change your life, but you have like 5 blinds and you just can't wait to pick up the king 7 suited and just get your blinds, just get your 6 big blinds right in. But when you think about the fact that you've got 100 guys counting on you, it's like it still makes you want to bring the best to that stage of the tournament. And it helped me a lot. Like during the past year, one thought that continuously was in my mind was just stay in your seat. Just stay in your seat. Find a way to stay in your seat. And the fact that I had so many people with little investments in me, that was definitely it played a part in the ability to stay in my seat.
Let's talk about an event that had investors been there. Boy, they would have been on the edge of their seats. We're talking about the 2019 Poker Players Championship. You ended up finishing runner-up to Phil Huey. But the hand that was heard around the world, it has been described as potentially as the worst beat ever in the history of poker because of how everything is. It you just keep drilling the knife into Bryce's back, into his back. But basically, for people who don't know, go on YouTube. You can find it. It's a Poker Players Championship, $50,000 Poker Players Championship. First prize was over $1 million. We're playing deuce to 7. So again, people who have heard the show, what it deuce to 7, one of my favorite games, but this is triple draw. Aces high, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 is the best hand because you cannot make a straight. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is a straight. And I explain all this because it's very important for this description of the hand I'm talking about. So again, the wheel is 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. That's why it's deuce to 7. Bryce Yockey gets dealt the second best hand in deuce to 7. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, not 5, 7, 6, 7. Only one hand can beat it.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
hand rarely loses.
Yeah, lose it. It's almost, there's 2,500 hands. He's got the second best one. And what happens here is Josh has a pretty big lead. He draws to 6, 5, 3. He has 5 cards. He ends up tossing 2 and has 6, 5, 3. At this moment in time, he's basically drawing dead, because if he fills in, he can't beat 6, 7, 6, 4, 3 deuce, because he's got a 6 and a 5. And as Nick Schulman, who's the announcer at the time, ironically, you mentioned it, astutely says, there is one way he could get a 2 and 4 for a straight and then toss the 6 and get a 7. It has to be that perfect, people. He had to get a 4 and a deuce to get the straight, toss the 6, and fill in the 7, because had he gotten a 7, 3 deuce, he would have lost with a 7, 6, 5, 3 deuce. The first draw, he gets a deuce. The second draw, he gets a 4. So now he fills in the straight. He throws away the 6. He pulls in the card. He pulls it sideways, which some people don't realize, but you can get a 2-spotter or a 3-spotter, etc. He pulls it. He says, oh boy, it's a 3-spotter, which could be either a 6 or a 7.
Or an 8.
Or an 8, sorry, yes. And wouldn't you know it, it's a 7. Bryce gets up and is just, dumbfounded.
Oh, that
Here's just saying,
the image is hilarious.
He literally almost started crying. And I'm not saying that negatively. I feel for him. Like,
yeah.
Are you kidding me? Because think of the money that he just lost. He lost over 6 figures. Potentially, if he wins that hand, he could go forward. Talk a little bit about the hand afterward. Like, you don't realize what's going on because you're just playing the hand. How would you know? You for all you know, he's gotten like an 85 or an 87, and you're like, oh, if I pull a 7 or an 8, I'm going to win here, right?
Yeah, it's just one of those weird things. Like I'm far from an expert at triple draw deuce, so I probably, because of my sticky nature, I probably play hands too far in, and it was just one of those weird things. And I never realize how big things are at the time. Like I'm in such a zone when I get deep in these things, and I don't realize it until after. And and Nick's commentary is what makes the whole thing.
Right,
and
right. Because he's saying it spot on. I didn't know this was happening. Right. He's like, I'm not watching a tape. I swear to you. Right.
God, you just feel for Bryce. It's such an awesome, good dude and a great player. And to have something that unfortunate in, there's bad beats. But to me, it's another one of those timing things. Like a bad beat in the first level of a tournament doesn't bother you.
100%.
But a bad beat when you are fully emotionally invested. I mean, we played that tournament for 5 days.
Right.
And everybody thinks that when you get into a tournament that deep, you start visualizing and you start seeing the goal line and the finish line. And again, it's like he looks at his number 2 and he's like, oh shit, I'm going to double up here.
Right. 100%.
And then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. You just gotta, you just pour one out for poor old Bryce, because a funny thing about that is I made the final table, the tournament, the 1,500 that I won, a close friend of Bryce's finished 7th. And we ended up going to dinner on dinner break the second day, me and this guy. And he was telling me, he's like, start showing me all these memes that they would make about Bryce and that hand. And he's like, man, I got to thank you. We have had a lot of laughs at Bryce
That's
because of
great.
that hand.
That's
And
great. That's
I'm
great.
sure that he has to hear about it all the time. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
that
But,
was it's sick, sick beat.
but like you said, it's an event. Like, if it happens on day one, day two, yeah, it's a bad beat, whatever.
Right.
Let's move on. But this is arguably the second most prestigious event.
Yeah.
This is the Chip Reese Trophy of, beyond the main event. I think every poker player, that's the one that they all want to win.
Yeah. And I would say that like stop it. I would say that the limit players, like the high limit mixed game players,
Yeah.
that
That is the one, right?
that is the one. Those guys aren't really going to win a 9-day no limit hold'em event, just like me probably. But those guys, circle the PPC on the calendar every year because that's what they want.
Right.
So and Bryce is an amazing mixed game player. He plays the big bet games good too. So that hurt even worse. It's just you can't help but feel for the guy. I see him in that ugly ass hat,
That green hat, right.
holding his head in disbelief of what had just happened.
Right. Because even after he heard you had the 7, I don't think he believed. Like he was like, "Oh, that's fine. I have number 2." He probably has 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Right. He doesn't know how good my hand is, and you're like, "Wait a second, you've won? Well, how could you have won?" It was just incredible. It really was.
When we're done here, I'm going to go back and watch that again.
Just so you see it. I saw it earlier today, prepping up for the interview. So, but Josh, I mean, we've had such a good time talking this week that we haven't even had an opportunity to get to the 2021. So if it's okay, if you don't mind coming back next week and we'll talk about it, we'd love to get into all of that. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to. I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Josh Arieh here. Hope you enjoyed hearing his story. And it is an incredible story. I know a lot of you may have just felt like you just got introduced to Josh Arieh, but it's one of the superstars in poker that has been around for a long time. And, it just really has come together for him to become WSOP Player of the Year, but now 4-time bracelet winner as well. So stay tuned. Next week, we're going to talk about his journey to Player of the Year, which, in all honesty, to his own admission, it was never expected or thought of. So stay tuned next week. We'll have part 2 with Josh Arieh. And as always, may you always go in with the best hand, and may you never get unlucky. Good night, everybody.